Hey everyone, welcome back to Big Strong Book. I'm Reed, and today we are discussing chapter 37 of the Dragonbone chair, Jiriki's Hunt. So within the midst of this conflict, Simon, Benebig, Hasten, Sludig, Aelfred, they have now, Sitha has found them. So the Sitha recognizes the White Arrow. He isn't the one that gave Simon the White Arrow. He isn't Jiriki. I thought he was at the end of the last chapter, but I misremembered that. So the Sitha takes Benebig and Benebig, Simon, Sludig, and Hasten hostage. And he asks them, where'd you get the White Arrow? Obviously, he doesn't know. And Simon says, well, it was given to me. Simon says, I saved one of your people. He shot it at a tree and then ran away. And so again, they find Sludig, Grimrick, and Hasten, but then they realize that Ethelburn, almost said Aelfred, Ethelburn has died. So then we go from kind of as they head into the hills, then we go to Isgrimner, who is thinking of his wife, thinking of his son who he left to try to rule in his stead, but as they got taken over by Scully. And the Duke says, and I was looking forward to coming home this time. It would have been nice to tend to my horses and cows and settle a few local disputes and watch my children raise their own children. Instead, all the land is being torn up again like leaky thatch. God save me. I had enough of fighting when I was younger for all my talk. Elias has gone to the field, and he is coming to Naglemund with 1,000 knights and around 10,000 foot soldiers. So even more things are in motion, even more paths of war here. And according to Daernoth, Duke Leobardus has set sail as well. And he says different people say different things with what his force is. 300 horse, perhaps. 2,000 or so foot. So not a lot. Even Baron Ordmare says, 2,000 men, plus, the forces of his Gwithin and his Grimner and everybody that's in Naglemund. They don't stand a chance against 10,000. I mean, they're beaten almost, it's 10,000 against 3,000 potentially. But Joshua is confident in Naglemund. He is confident that the walls of Naglemund will hold. And Gwithin is tired. Gwithin is disappointed. He says, all we're doing here is waiting. We're waiting. You say we're safe within these walls. We're waiting for this massive army to come to us. He says, do not forget, Joshua, I am a prince too. I came to you out of the friendship of our fathers, and now my father is wounded and harried by northern devils. If he dies unsuccored, and I become king, will you order me then? Will you still think to hold me back? I cannot understand such craven reluctance. And he is preparing to leave. He said that he will leave. And Daernoth doesn't have anything to report about Miriamel in Cadrak. He says, Miriamel gone, God knows where, and Leobardus racing Elias to our gates. Luth wounded, the Hernesterian in retreat, and Elias's tool Scully, master from this Vestiveg to the Granspog. And on top of that, demons out of legend walking the mortal earth. The The net grows tighter, uncle. And then his Scrivener says, the web is swaying in the wind, Joshua, strong wind. Then we go to Igan Jagger, who is on the hunt of the Scythe, on the hunt of Simon and company. And he kind of has this vision of seeing she who named him Hunter, the Silver Mask. We go back to Simon then for the remainder of the chapter. And as they go up, they go up into kind of this interesting cranny that they don't think they can get up, but they do. And the Scythe prepare to bind their hands. And Simon's companions at first are apprehensive to this, but Simon says, no, let them bind us. Let us show them good faith. Simon, in a respect, kind of takes charge in this moment because he knows there is a bond that he has to at least one Scytha, this bond of the white arrow. So he knows if he can get through to them, if he can explain a little more, if they play along, that things will turn out correctly. Eventually Benedict catches on and he's like, and then they meet Jiriki, and Benedict says, if we see him, maybe, maybe this will all go well. Maybe we'll eat a good meal and sleep well tonight. And Jiriki tells him that, he says, a debt is a debt. You've changed since our first meeting. So Jiriki notices as well. Then you looked more like one of the forest animals than like your human kindred. You seemed lost in many ways. And Simon tells Jiriki, you've changed too. Jiriki says, 3 nights and 2 days I spent hanging in that mortal's trap, the woodsman. Soon I would have died even if the woodsman had not come, from shame, that is. He mentions, come, we must give us food. And he says, we bring little with us to basically their hunting lodge. And Simon is confused, and he's like, you're here, but you're here to hunt? Like, what do you hunt here? And Jiriki says, the game we seek is more plentiful than ever. And he reveals giant heads that they're hunting. They're hunting the Hunan. And Jiriki says, and you, trespassing mortals, what do you hunt in my father's hills? So there we go. The end of chapter 37. I was mistaken at the end of yesterday's video. I thought that Jiriki, that's how he's first introduced, but I misremembered that Jiriki is introduced at the end of this chapter, reunited with Simon, but where Jiriki, we see this during the chapter, we notice that Simon has really come into his own within this mission and within this chapter. Simon kind of takes charge here. Slutig and Haston in particular are kind of chomping at the bit, but Simon tries to kind of lead them on a wise path forward, and Jiriki notices this. Jiriki is confirming for an audience, essentially, what we have inferred to this point, that Simon truly has changed. Simon is taking charge. The Simon of 300 pages ago wouldn't have done the same thing, but he has grown significantly. So yeah, that's it for chapter 37. If you have read this chapter, let me know what you think, and I will see you guys next time.